Back to the basics. Sunglasses, check. Hat, check. Notes, check. Pepsi, check. Sources, check. And thick skin, check. Let's go. Wow, we are almost to 10,000 subscribers. We are very, very close. So we greatly appreciate you hitting that like and subscribe button to help get us there. Well, it looks like ESPN has pulled out of the negotiations for the TV media rights deal for the Big Ten. They've had a long-term relationship, and it looks like that relationship is over. So it looks like ESPN is no longer going to carry any Big Ten games. The front runners to carry the rest of them, CBS and NBC. And NBC has said that they're trying to turn the Big Ten into the NFL of college football. Please don't use that lingo. We don't want the NFL in college football. I understand you want the Big Ten to be the best conference in college football, but do not use the term NFL as it relates to college football. That is not what we need. Chris Vanini is reporting SBJ Sports says that CBS is grabbing the 3:30 spot and NBC the primetime spot. They are the front runners for the Big Ten's remaining rights, with ESPN likely out. It would put the Big Ten on network TV in every major TV window, Saturdays with Fox at noon. And what could happen is NBC could actually push Notre Dame to join the Big Ten in football if this were to happen. The Big Ten wants a record deal somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 billion. Now that's with the Fox deal. Aaron Walsh report NBC pitching Big Ten as the NFL of CFB college football and TV rights contracts talks. I mean, if you want to relate that to money, I guess that's okay, but I'd rather you not refer to anything that has to do with college football as the NFL. Just stay away from that. We don't need that. CBS is looking to pick up a $330 million deal with the Big Ten. Here's a report from yesterday. NBC is competing with a number of other broadcasting companies for the Big Ten's television rights, and it appears the network has a specific plan to make the conference the pinnacle of college football. NBC, we're talking about NBC here, guys. NBC intends to turn the Big Ten into the NFL of college football conferences, according to the Michael McCarthy and Kristovich of Front Office Sports. The idea would be for NBC to air back-to-back Big Ten and NFL games in prime time on weekend nights, according to Front Office Sports. Such a plan could vault the Big Ten past the rival SEC Southeastern Conference as the premier college football draw on sports TV. So they want the Big Ten to draw in more money than the SEC, which is fine. But please do not use the term NFL. That's the only thing that I ask. Reports also say the Big Ten would have exposure in every TV home, a source told Front Office Sports. It would also be a smart idea to follow the model of the most successful sports league in America. The Big Ten's media rights deal is set to expire after the 2023 season, and the league is expected to fetch at least $1.25 billion per year for its next deal per Front Office. Aside from NBC, bidders for the conference rights include Amazon. Didn't see that coming. ESPN was still a bidder at the time of this report. ABC, ESPN, and ABC are the same company, actually. And CBS Sports. The winner will air games alongside Fox Sports, the conference's main television partner. Those updates were from yesterday, so here's the update from today. ESPN has pulled out of Big Ten media rights negotiations. It is official, they've pulled out, ending one of the longest sports media relationships in the business. ESPN said no to the conference's final offer of a 7-year, $380 million per year package. Sources tell SBJ. Unnecessary Roughness reports ESPN has pulled out of their negotiation with the Big Ten. The Big Ten's final offer was a 7-year, $2.6 billion. That's all together. ESPN said no. So the offer was for 7 years, $2.6 billion altogether, and that breaks down to $380 million per year. ESPN said no. So this is going to come down to CBS and NBC. They're still in the negotiations. The Big Ten is looking to pull record numbers in revenue for their TV rights, and they will get those record numbers. So with ESPN pulling out of the Big Ten race, a lot of people are saying that they're going to focus on the Pac-12 and possibly even the Big 12. Now, Fox owns the main TV media rights for the Big 12, but ESPN could be a secondary carrier for the Big 12. How this could affect conference realignment, I'm not really sure. What it looks like for now is that the Big 10 is done grabbing teams. I'm not sure if they'll grab more teams in the future, but right now they're focusing on getting the most money for their TV deal. If they were going to add more teams, it would have already happened. It's not happened. I think they've closed their doors, and they may have closed their doors for an extended amount of time, maybe at least through the halfway point of this TV contract. I'm sure there's a clause in there to where they can renegotiate if they add some teams. Right now, they're focusing on getting that blockbuster, historic-making TV revenue deal. So the main source for that revenue will be Fox. The secondary carrier looks like it's going to be either CBS or NBC. I hope CBS stays in the game. We already know that NBC carries Notre Dame games. CBS lost its negotiations with the SEC. Maybe they can get back in the game with the Big Ten, and I would be all for that. So we are not going to see any Big Ten games on ESPN after 2023. It's not going to happen. They're out of negotiations. They're not going to carry any of those games. That's going to be kind of weird, but at the same time, we could see them either on CBS or NBC. So I guess that's an even trade-off. Instead of CBS carrying the SEC like they do now, they could carry the Big Ten. So that's a pretty even swap-off. But it will take some getting used to as far as the changes in the future. And one side note, NBC could use this to try to strongly encourage Notre Dame to join the Big Ten. If NBC becomes a carrier for Big Ten football games, they could use that as leverage to try to push Notre Dame into joining the Big Ten. And to be honest with you, I do think that would be the best decision for Notre Dame to join the Big Ten, because in the future, the Big Ten and the SEC plan to split off from the NCAA, create their own playoffs, national championships, create their own rules, ways of enforcing those rules. And technically, if you're not in their conference, they could say, no, you are not competing in our playoffs and national championship. So if Notre Dame doesn't join the Big Ten, they could be left out of the playoffs. So that's another big-time leverage the Big Ten can use against Notre Dame to try to force them to join the Big Ten. And if Notre Dame joins the Big Ten, that would actually give the Big Ten even more leverage to renegotiate that TV deal for an even higher amount, especially with NBC involved. So there are conference realignment ramifications that could happen through this deal. My biggest question is, if ESPN gets its hands in the Big 12, could they try to outbid Fox and get the main rights and then try to work out some type of merger between the Big 12 and the Pac-12? I think that's possible. I don't know how likely it is, but I do think that's a possibility. That would be something that probably wouldn't happen until next year, but it's still a possibility. So the big news of the day is ESPN is no longer going to carry Big Ten games after 2023. Y'all let me know in the comments section what you think about this situation. A lot of people think that this could be bad for the Big Ten. Personally, I don't think so, as long as CBS and NBC picks up their part of the deal. But do you think this is bad for the Big Ten, as far as ESPN not carrying any of their games from now on? What does this mean for College GameDay? Because remember, their number one spot was Columbus, Ohio. If ESPN is not going to carry the Big Ten anymore, does GameDay even go to Columbus, Ohio anymore? So you got to think of everything involved, and College GameDay is a part of this equation. You know, I was editing this video and I started to think, by the way, I'm in the car line to pick up my kids now, so change of scenery, that's not always a bad thing. But I started to think, maybe this is a bad thing for the Big Ten because of what I was talking about College GameDay. I mean, this would mean that College GameDay never goes to Columbus anymore. They never go to Ann Arbor anymore. They never go to State College, Pennsylvania for Penn State anymore. I mean, that's a big deal. College GameDay has become a part of our culture when it comes to college football. So the fact that College GameDay might not be coming to these campuses anymore, that might actually be a bigger deal than what we realize. Like I said previously, Columbus, Ohio was the number one spot for College GameDay to go to. And you better believe that Kirk Herbstreit is not going to be happy about that. So you got to figure, with a massive TV deal with the SEC and backing out of negotiations with the Big Ten, we're going to see College GameDay on SEC campuses even more. So we're going to get a heavy dose of College GameDay on SEC campuses from here on out. So this might actually be a bad thing for college football as far as diversity whenever it comes to seeing different college football campuses and different conferences in general. I mean, we've all had the SEC already shoved down our throats. Well, buckle up, it's about to get even worse. They might sprinkle in a few ACC games here and there, but be prepared, people. We're going to see College GameDay at a lot of SEC campuses. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.